Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video. Hey everybody, welcome back to Giga Texas. It's Wednesday the 12th of October 2022. And as always, a lot of activity today, and you'll see that in the video with a lot of narration. But for the intro, I want to talk a little bit about the battery cathode plant and some information that you may or may not be aware of, and explains a little bit of why they're moving so quickly. As you can see by this image, earlier this year, Tesla and a company called Core Lithium wrote a contract to deliver to Tesla 110,000 tons of spodumene concentrate 6 over the next 4 years. And that's about enough to build batteries for 140,000 vehicles. So it's not everything Tesla needs, but it's an extremely good start. Now, spodumene concentrate 6 is a raw material that comes out of the mine. It would be shipped here to Giga Texas, and then the battery cathode plant is what is designed to refine that into lithium hydroxide. And it's conveniently located, as you can see right behind me is where the battery cell production for 4680 is going to take place. So it's right on the same property. And what I show you on screen here is information from Core Lithium's website. And I've got links here on the video picture and also in the video description if you want more information. But basically it looks like the mine was discovered in 2016. By September 2021, they had the final investment decision. They had construction beginning October 2021. In July 2022, they had the 12-year plan, and this is about when they signed the contract with Tesla. And by the fourth quarter of this year, the expected first shipment of spodumene concentrate to Tesla here at Giga Texas is expected to start. And this image gives you just an overall view of that Finniss Lithium project and what that looks like down in Australia. And I want to say thank you very much to my Patreon, Chris Drysdale, for providing me all this information. Now, why is all this important? It's important because what we're seeing here on site with the progress on the battery cathode plant is really a necessity, because they need to have that plant ready to go when that shipment arrives so they can begin initial testing and production of that lithium hydroxide. It's also an important ingredient to the 4680 battery cells, and we know that they want to try to hit volume ramp for the production of 4680s at the end of this year into the first quarter or so of next year, and then have them full production sometime in the summer of 2023. So hopefully you can see how all this comes together. Anyway, as I mentioned, a lot more to see in the video today. I hope that you appreciated this information about Core Lithium, a little bit about spodumene concentrate 6 and the refining process that will be going on here, and why the battery cathode plant is progressing as quickly as it is. Thank you again for watching. I hope you have a great day, and take care. A special thank you to all of my outstanding Patreons for your continued encouragement and support. Patreon members get access to hundreds of high-resolution photos, previews of the future material, and direct dialogue with me. If you would like to support my channel, please consider becoming a patron using this link, which is also in the video description. Please also consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. Start the video off today from the south end, and I hope you enjoyed that brief view of the sunrise. It's another gorgeous day with a lot of activity going on, especially here on the south end. And as I pan the drone around, you'll see the south material storage, and a lot of the materials have been moved over further to the east side. You also see quite a few more Model Ys here on the south end, which may indicate that production ramp is beginning to pick up even more than what we saw in September. Also here at the bottom of the screen you see this large trench with the blue water pipe being installed. Now this is going along the entire south edge of what used to be this concrete ramp, and you can see the work here on the west side of the concrete ramp to remove all the concrete has continued. It looks like there's a pile of dirt that's now being used to help fill in the trench where the blue water pipe is. You can see the bulldozer moving some of that over towards that trench. You can see that large blue water pipe, and I think that this may connect to the water pipes, the treated water pipes that we saw pulled under the Colorado River, and we'll get a closer look at that in just a little bit. But just take a look at all of the Model Ys here on the south end again, and we'll see more on the east side as well. So definitely something has changed with the way production is going on. It is interesting that they're continuing to use this concrete lot for staging of the vehicles while all this construction is going on, but that seems to be part of the process right now. But there you see the bulldozer starting to fill in part of this trench. I think it's just filling in where the water pipe has already been installed, and then over here where the excavators are, I think that they're continuing the trench further to the east to connect to where that water pipe that was pulled underneath the Colorado River with the horizontal drilling operation. Another large section of concrete has been removed here. You can see the panels off to the left-hand side of the screen. And what they're doing now is they're sectioning them with cross cuts and then pulling them up as these rectangular sections, and this helps keep the debris and the dust down quite a bit. Showing you a lot more of the steel components here. It looks like most of these are beams of some sort. Still don't see very many of the columns, but you do see that that temporary platform has now been removed and has been relocated somewhere on the site. Throughout my entire flight today, I did not see it, so it may have actually gone inside. And this is another section that has been or underway being cut with the saw. You can see these long lines. This will be the next section that has the concrete removed as they continue to remove all the concrete on this south end. You can see the AIDA stamping machine components still waiting here for the construction to end up at that south stamping extension facility, and then once we start seeing that material move in, we know that they're beginning the assembly. Here's quite a bit of the steel components that have been moved over to this side from the south end. And overall, it just looks like they are moving the materials around to better position for where they're going to be needed at some point in the future. I'm going to reposition the drone over a little bit further to east to show you the horizontal drilling operation that is going on. And what we saw in a couple of videos ago is the large underground purple pipe had a 90-degree elbow installed about where you see that trench box in the middle of the construction area. You can also see some of the extra parts of the pipe laying here on the ground, and there's the fusion device that welds the pipe sections together is also over here now. So we'll see continued construction. But where that trench box is where I think we will see a connection to this pipe and into those blue pipes that are on that trench on the south end where the Model Ys are. Here's another development that I showed a little bit on my Sunday, the 9th of October video, but here's a much closer look. You can see that temporary platform that has been here for about 6 or 8 months has just been removed, and that's right where that white crane was. And you can see remnants of the markings on the wall where that temporary platform used to be. You can also see some construction continuing here next to these two new receiving docks, and I'll give you a closer look at that a little later in the video. On top of the body in white roof, where we've seen this opening where they're putting in HVAC ducting, it looks like crews on the left-hand side are preparing to do another opening. It'll be very similar to the one that we see right now, and that'll extend the amount of HVAC ducts installed here to be about double what is currently under construction. You can also see that small retaining wall around the main opening here is almost completed, and that'll be how they wrap the weatherproof membrane for the roof around to seal it off from the weather. I'm going to reposition over to the west side to show you the continuing work with the landscaping along this cyber wall. You can also see crews are installing grass now on the back side of this wall. Looks like more trees and more vegetation has been brought over for installation. So this section is going to have quite a bit of landscaping once it's completed. Also, you can take a look at the main entrance. The doors still have that white wrapping with the red tape as they are doing construction inside still. And I think that may be part of the overall construction going on in the ground and second floors in this section of the building to install General Assembly lines 2 and 3. I brought the drone up to the roof to show you that the solar panel installation is now resuming, and it looks like their priority is to fill the spaces in between each of the large letters. In this case, they're filling in the space between the E and the S of the large Tesla. And as you can see with the crews, right now they are installing the mounts. These are unirack mounts. They are held down with basically bricks, and then they install the panels on top of those mounts. As we pass over here, you see the lower section of the E still needs to have some solar panels replaced. I also wanted to give you a quick view of the northwest corner HVAC ducting and the cooling enclosures. Hasn't really had much change since the last time I showed you these as well. It's just 2 more enclosures on the right-hand side of the screen need to be completed, and then they need to install more of the ducts right here on the bottom left of the screen. So let's take the drone down and we'll fly around the northwest corner near the ground level to show you how this section is transforming. You can see some crews watering some of the plants here, and I think that this is the section that has yet to have the irrigation system installed, and that's what they're working on the median here. And I'll give you a closer look at that as well. This truck just at the bottom of the screen is part of the Cleanscapes, which is the irrigation and the landscaping company. I also noticed that one of the modular components for the paint shop has been unwrapped with the green wrapping and has been moved up onto this particular platform. And I'll give you a close view of it. You can see the workers next to it to get a good idea of scale. You can also see inside that enclosure, they have some railings. That's where the platforms that the bodies are mounted to will ride along those rails as they go through the painting process. So hopefully you enjoyed this view of an unwrapped section of the modular painting system that they are installing in Giga Texas. As I mentioned, here is a close-up view of the center median plumbing installation work, also for the sidewalk and some curbing. I think that this may be related to extending some of the irrigation around where we saw them doing hand watering just a little bit earlier, but I'll have to continue to monitor these developments. But as you can see, they're extending some of this trenching further to the east. I'm showing you here next to the casting machine structure just to show that I have no visibility of any of the EDRA 9000 Giga Press arrival. I don't think any of the drone pilots have seen that yet, so it may be premature on the information that was posted on social media last week that the Giga Press was in Houston and its delivery was imminent. But you never know, so I'll continue to monitor this for you, and if I see it, I will let you know. So I'm going to reposition the drone to give you a view of this north parking lot area and how it appears from this altitude. Also where the main entrance is to the highway. And now we're going to proceed over towards where the electrical substation is being constructed. This section that we've been monitoring for some of the land earthwork and grade, it turns out that it's just a large parking lot. And we'll see more of the contractors parking their vehicles there. They continue to do this so that they can move vehicles from one section of the property to the other as construction changes and goes to different sections. But this is a really good view of what's going on at the electrical substation construction site today. You can see the main graded area on the left, the water detention pond here on the right, and some work on the north and south inlets for the pipes that will help drain it, as well as the pipe at the lower of the screen where it drains off to the east. The control room now has its roof on it, so most of the work now will be inside, which we will not be able to see, unfortunately. These two rectangular sections still haven't seen a lot of work in the last week or so, but it does look like rebar is positioned next to it. So perhaps we'll see some preparation for rebar and then a concrete slab poured at some point. I will pivot the drone more towards the north so you can see where drilling operations are underway again to add more of these bores that will have the footings installed. And the footings are where all of these steel columns are being attached. And this is where we will see some more superstructure and then some of the electrical components that are necessary for the electrical substation to be operational. You can see more of the materials off to the right-hand side of the screen and more of the steel poles in the middle side. And also you can see how some of that steel installation is kind of proceeding on the north end as well. The far north section, where we've seen the two large mounts on the left-hand side of the screen and then two more near those steel power poles, doesn't seem like there's still much work here yet, but it looks like at some point we'll start seeing them preparing this northern part to tie into all of the work that they're doing on the main graded section. Probably when they're ready for the power to be connected is when we'll see the poles installed here. But this is a good view overall of the activity at the electrical substation today. So as we fly over these hills and ponds, this is what remains of the sand and gravel mining that was underway in this entire section before Tesla purchased it. And on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see more work on this graded area, and also where you see the piles of dirt right in the middle of the screen. This is how they are filling in those ponds, and they're also removing some of the hills you can see right at the lower part of the center of the screen. This is going to continue to progress towards the west to flatten out this entire section to prepare for future construction. Still not sure exactly what that construction will be, but it is getting more and more obvious that they are preparing for something in this particular section of the property. You can see the excavator on the center of the screen removing more of the hill to help flatten it out. The fenced off section on the left for some future material storage. But a lot more steel components here on the right-hand side of the screen, which also suggests that we will start seeing some sort of construction in that area sooner than later. Again, I'm not sure what that is. On the north end, on the ground level here, you see the crews preparing some more of the receiving docks along where the yellow forms are for the perimeter grade beam. So we'll see probably at least 6 of the loading or receiving docks on that north end. Here are crews preparing to start today's work and getting their initial safety and overview briefing. You can also see quite a few of these steel pipes. These are either steam or cooling pipes. It looks like they're preparing to extend what they've installed in the south end further to the north. And see more materials here right in the center of the screen. And we'll get a good view of this concrete apron section that looks like there's a little bit of trenching, maybe for some more conduit installation. You've seen that some of the footings already have some concrete poured and preparing to make these mounts for equipment, possibly tanks. You can also see this southerly section with all of the rebar and that center section that has double the rebar, so that probably will be something heavy there. All the walls that have been installed continue their progress to the north, and on the upper side you see what may be a window line emerging right at the very top on that third floor. A lot more wall panels ready to be installed, and that process of installing the wall panels is really picking up. I'm going to fly the drone over this clearing that they've been preparing on the west side, and I will sort of bring the camera lens down and turn around so that the drone is facing to the north, trying to avoid some of the sun. But this also gives you a good view of all of the activity that is going on this side of the building as they extend this clearing further to the west. Now, as we talked in the intro, there is a very big priority in getting the battery cathode plant completed as soon as possible. I believe the target is to try to have it completed with as much of the equipment installed as they possibly can by the end of this year. And that ties in with the Core Lithium shipment of spodumene concentrate from Australia also coming around the end of the year. So if all goes well, they'll be able to start initial testing for initial low volume production of lithium hydroxide at the beginning of 2023. I will continue to pull the drone back a little bit to the east just to show you this sort of structure with all of the trailers, all of the air conditioning cooling vents on the roof, and also this general section next to all of these Martin Marietta concrete trucks, just to see if we see any boring tunnel activity. I do not see that right now, but it looks like some of the workshops are still very active in this section. But this is a closer look at this particular building with trailers, a lot of the air conditioning equipment on the top, and just generally how that appears. Still not sure what that's for. You can see the blue water pipe installation along the east side in this trench, and this eventually will connect over to treated water, very similar to what we saw on the south end. The amount of wall panels being installed on this east side is really going quickly. It's now past the midpoint of the building, and they're leaving some sections open because there will be equipment that will need to be moved inside that's pretty large. So we'll see some openings left until the equipment is installed. The concrete slab that we saw being poured on the previous video is now, looks like it's cured. They have a little tent and some equipment on it. Also, you can see more steel components being stored here on this side, more of the blue water pipe as well. And I wanted to show you the progress here in this center section, ground floor, where they have all the yellow moisture barriers, a lot of the rebar. They've already been pouring some concrete, and the 3 deep foundations are really starting to take shape now. It looks like there's additional form work, so it'll be raised up to just a little bit on over the height of the actual slab. So a lot of work going on in this particular section, and it's interesting to try to think about what very heavy equipment might be installed in that section. You can see a crane getting ready to lift one of the skinnier pieces of concrete wall panel, and the crews are getting ready at that top level for that lift. It took just a little bit longer than I was hoping, so I wasn't able to see them actually lift it, but you can see the crane is attached to that particular wall panel. And this just gives you a good view of how many wall panels have been installed. It's really making tremendous progress. As I fly along the warehouse on wheels, I just wanted to give you a good sense of the number of trailers that are temporarily parked here as part of that warehouse on wheels concept. It also is a good indication of the rate of production that's going on inside, and there's quite a bit of these trailers. I also wanted to give you a closer look at this workshop and all of the steel components that are being arrayed next to it. Looks like there's some sort of construction going on inside that little warehouse or that workshop, possibly fabricating some of the steel components. And most of the steel there are columns, which is very interesting. As we proceed over to the new car staging and transportation lot, you can also see that there's quite a few Model Ys here as well today, trucks picking them up. And I don't know if they're using the south end for truck pickups, but all of these vehicles are being transported about 30 miles to the north up to Hutto, where the railhead is. I also noticed these two large green wrapped modular components. I think the size next to the semi-trucks gives you a really good idea of just how massive these are. I do not know what these are, if they are related to the paint shop modular system or something else. Always trying to keep an eye open to see if these might be EDRA parts, but it's hard to say with the markings the way they are. But one thing is for sure, those are some pretty massive components that are being brought in to Giga Texas. I'm going to give you a closer look here at the east main entrance. You can see that they're still storing some of the castings on the ground floor inside the doors. Also, this is a closer look at some of the work that's going on at some of the new receiving docks on this side of the building as well. Looks like there's some work on the concrete apron going on, a little bit of concrete demolition and rework, it looks like to me. So as we proceed back up to the north, I'll get up to a higher altitude just to give you an overall view of Giga Texas and the construction site around the vicinity of the main building. I want to say thank you very much again for watching. I hope the information about Core Lithium in the intro was helpful and informative. And also I hope you enjoyed the video and the narration. Have a great day, and again, thank you for watching.